all had their sleeves rolled up and gumboots on the ground. So we do appreciate all of you who came by, who journeyed to the heart of the catastrophe and saw for yourselves what the monsoon on steroids actually looked like. And of course, the front line of that was the UN Secretary General, who proved to be one of the most powerful advocates for bringing resolve, commitment, and resources to a country that was in shock for many months. Now, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you all. But you saw on the ground, many of you have heard also that Pakistanis are a resilient people. But, as you saw in the video, for Pakistan, the peril is not over. 8 million still live in inundated areas, particularly the province of Sindh, and a homeless winter for many. Now, 20 million are still affected, which is, again, 3 times the size of many countries. And this winter has brought the 19th century back to the human health experience. It has brought dangers and risks that humanity had forgotten how to plan for. It has brought perils to Pakistan that this century had stopped accounting for. So in this peninsula of human suffering that we all saw, and 33 million certainly is a peninsula of great human tragedy. What we saw at some points was no antibiotics, a lack of antibiotics, a lack of medicine, a lack of infant food. These are not things, I'm not talking about cutting edge IT education. I'm talking about the basics of human survival. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a new tidal wave of disasters that are besetting the world, and we need to be very clear. They will not go away by themselves. And they will not. Countries who are facing such front lines, the ground zero, as I called it, of climate stress, will not recover on their own. There is no default setting to nature or to human recovery at this scale. You saw the water as it ripped through Pakistan, 1/3 of Pakistan, the magnitude and velocity. It was pulling out huge bridges, built back better, like toothpicks in its fury. So building back better is going to be harder than we planned for and harder than we imagined. We had seen the 2010 flood. It was a great flood. It was called the super floods of Pakistan. Well, it affected 20 million people. So just to put in perspective, this one was 33 million. We hope and pray and also plan for ensuring that no such bigger disaster overtakes this particular catastrophe, because wrapping one's head around the sheer numbers to service has been a monumental challenge. So everyone has responded, of course, wonderfully, but it is to be remembered that while we are building for resilience, Pakistan lies in one of the largest floodplains of the world. And it has created now the way the topography of certainly of the province of Sindh, whose chief minister is present here, has been transformed probably forever. There are lakes that are sitting there, the size, probably over 100 kilometers, impossible to drain for a year, transforming the land we till, the livelihoods that live off it. And of course, giving our great Indus River, which has been a lifeline for Pakistan, a new geography. So while we're living in these areas, what I call the axis of vulnerability, it is time to look very hard at how risk management is part of a cascade of ongoing, timely, and agile investments that can build up the defenses, the shields that societies need to stand up to what the Secretary General called the war that nature is waging now on the world as one of my colleagues said here very ably, Pakistan has been next door to a long war, one of the longest war in the world, and home to a high cohort of refugees. We are a hospitable people, but we are no match, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, no match for a war that nature may unleash through no fault of our own. Now, this is not about ascribing responsibility, or this is about burden sharing. We are seeking to build that coalition of the willing to do what the Prime Minister very succinctly stated, to kickstart a strategic reset in how societies think about resilience and sustainability, in how societies work across borders as nation states and people to create new islands of resilience that grow to become a planet that we can be confident to inhabit for the future without risk. Now, I just want to say that strategic interventions in rebuilding with flood resilience do not mean the $16.3 billion that Minister Essen has spoken to you about are about frontline basic flood resilience and some segues into the storm drains, the large storm drains the country needs, because we need a new architecture of flood resilience, clearly, as well as an old one that needs investment. We have one of the largest man-made irrigation systems in the world. But having said that, and we maintain it very well, but having said that, what is in our way right now? Two things. Capacity, that is technical capacity, the ability to build bankable projects that we are told to compete with on the financing market, because the amount of projectization that is needed is literally the size of 2 or 3 small European countries. So yes, we need the technical capacity, and we need it yesterday. What is going to, I think, swing things for us to kind of make the worm turn, if you like, is an uninterrupted, the second thing needed is uninterrupted supply of funding and resources. Now, when I say uninterrupted, what I mean is when that link is broken in the chain of funding, when a province, when a district, when a people, when a community has to wait, and a project has begun, it is lying there, someone, as we call them, as PC1s on paper, it does not translate into a defense by the next time the disaster rolls round, because the province, then that district, because all adaptation eventually is local, it must be local, it must have feet on the ground, will not catch on or have built that resilience by the time the next summer rolls round. And we have lived through a I did not show you the 2022 climate video that I showed at COP. That was a new archipelago of complete disaster, famines, flash fires, forest fires, floods, and of course the global, the glacial lake outburst floods. They've tripled. We have the largest number of glaciers outside the polar region. They are also melting fast. So we need to create that wall, and I am asking very clearly for that lifeline that will manage, that will help Pakistanis manage predictability for basic survival. And that is really the polycrisis, only way to confront the polycrisis that is hitting us. And yes, that's a new word for the 21st century, because the challenges for the 21st century are entirely new. I just hope, ladies and gentlemen, that we are able to build up the speed and agility to respond with the kind of compassion that is needed and foresight. Thank you very much for your, I think I overspoke. Thank you.
I now request His Excellency Mr. Ayaz Sadiq, Minister Economic Affairs Division, Government of Pakistan, to say a few words.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and assalamu alaikum. My colleagues have given all details that were necessary to be shared with you. And speaking in the end means we're short of time, and I'm sure we are. So I'll be very brief.